we get these chairs off the stage real quick? Folks, this next speaker is a true servant leader. The first time I got introduced to John Register, I was blown away. I was kind of going through a bad day that day, actually, and he came on the podcast, and he'll share with you in just a bit, his story, and it's just one of those stories that it just makes you pause and think and go, why am I down today? Why am I down today? And so, as over the years, I've had the opportunity to get to know John. I think I interviewed him back in 2021. And ever since then, we've just stayed in touch. He reaches out from time to time. Doesn't have to. Reaches out from time to time. And always the first question is, how are you? What's going on in your life today? How's your family? I don't think we talk about business for 90% of the call. And then at the end, it's, okay, well, how can I serve you? That's what he asks. I think we all need to be a little bit more like John Register. And so this next speaker is, again, I want to call a friend. He's a mentor. He's someone who I think you all have gotten to know a little bit. He has all these different titles. He's just a servant to our country as well, and words just really can't do this gentleman justice. So it's my great honor and gift to welcome Mr. John Register.
Let's go and inspire. We can take it higher. Give it all you got. Being great is required.
Give it up to our fearless leader, Kevin. I was at the 1996 Paralympic Games as a swimmer. Yeah, I'm a barge now. I was a swimmer then. I get out of the pool. My wife, Al, is very pregnant with our daughter, Ashley. She gives me a towel to begin wiping down. My son, John Jr., is off to her left, your right. He's 5 years old. As I'm wiping down, I look over on closed-circuit television. I see this gentleman. He's an above-the-knee amputee on the long jump runway at the track and field stadium. I'm intrigued. Because at the University of Arkansas, go Pigs, I was a 27-foot long jumper. So I'm dialed in on him. But as I'm watching him, my wife, she's watching me. He begins his long jump approach, running leg over leg, faster and faster, hits the takeoff board, leaps up into the air, apex, height of his flight, artificial leg, flies off. Right. He lands here, artificial leg lands about 3 feet up in front of him. Whole crowd does a Macaulay Culkin. Long jumper turns back to the official. Where are you going to measure my jump from right here? My artificial leg landed up there. That's a brilliant attitude to have. But remember, as I'm watching that long jumper, my wife, she's watching me. She's seeing a shift going on in my mind. Yeah, I'm never going to run with 2 legs ever again. Had to come to that point of reckoning. Revision. Maybe if I have an artificial leg made for running, I can do like this guy and run and jump again. Renewal. I haven't even taken a step on an artificial running blade, and already my mind is 4 years down the road in Sydney, Australia, on the medal stand. My wife saw me go from a mindset to a mindsight. From a mindset to a mindsight. Mindsight coined by Dr. Dan Siegel of the Mindsight Institute. And I think this is a great place for us to start after having conversations with many of you. We have come to La Jolla with a mindset. And my question to Stedman earlier was, how do we fill a cup when someone's cup is already filled? Sometimes it's not if the cup is half empty or half full. Can we be grateful for something in the cup? As leaders that begin to want to cause impact, how do we breathe that life into others? I coined myself as an inspirational speaker. It took me a long time to come to that realization. But I believe that inspiration from the Latin inspiro is to breathe into. If I'm breathing life into other individuals and I'm not taking it away, then oxygen is being enriched in their atmosphere so that they can thrive in their environment. We have to begin to understand that we are that engine that breathes life into other individuals. So I look at this from oxygen, atmosphere, and environment. How do we show up, sustain ourselves in a position like this? I was auditing a course in NASA down in Houston, Texas. Our instructors told us that these astronauts that are working in this ginormous pool, which is the National Buoyancy Lab, which has the entire International Space Station submerged underwater, they're doing maneuvers that they're going to do in outer space. They said, John, these astronauts, they're working in very harsh environments. And I said, absolutely. How many would agree, show of hands, that these astronauts work in very harsh environments? Great. For those that don't have your hand up, any CEO can be an astronaut. I think when I began going back, there was a realization on the bus ride back to the headquarters. I began thinking, well, what makes the environment harsh on the human body? What do you think? Underwater and outer space, what makes the environment harsh? No gravity, for sure. Pressure, lack of oxygen. If I don't have oxygen, what happens? Can't breathe. If I can't breathe, CEOs, this is not very hard. No trick questions. If I can't have oxygen, I do irrational things. This remote control might become my savior if I'm underwater, and I might reach out for it. That's why lifeguards are taught to grab people from behind and not approach them from the front. Hence, the frog people are behind the astronauts in the water in case something goes wrong. How do we know in March of 2020 in America that we were in a panicked situation? What were we physically doing that told us that oxygen left our environment? Toilet paper. We were buying toilet paper because that was going to solve COVID. How many still have toilet paper in your garages right now? So I began thinking about it. You know, how do I show up in these environments, in my own atmosphere as the executive? And what happens when I begin losing oxygen out of my environment? Before going down to those games in Atlanta, I was in the Washington Dulles International Airport. I'm with 50 of my new Paralympic team members. They're on the wheelchair basketball team, the track and field team, and the swim team. I'm not in the best mindset. I want to be on the Olympic team, not this Paralympic team. All I could see were people with disabilities in front of me, blind, paralyzed, visually impaired, cerebral palsy, amputees like myself. What's the value, what's the benefit of being on this team? In fact, I'm sitting next to a gentleman. He's in a beautiful three-piece Armani suit, got gator skin shoes on, pulling a nice Louis Vuitton bag, and he's talking so loud on his cell phone, I just want to reach out and touch him. Kept my hands to myself. What's the value? What's the benefit of being on this team? The gate agent, she gets up to the lectern with herself, and she says, ladies and gentlemen, flight number 300 is now ready for passenger boarding. Will everyone who needs a little bit more time and attention please get up and board the aircraft at this time? So 50 of my team members got up and started going down the jet bridge. I said, oh, benefit number one. That's a perk. I got on board the aircraft to go back to the 17th row. I like the window seat. And as I'm sitting there, I cast my eyes from outside the fuselage and back across the wings and inside the plane, and I see this amazing spectacle of all my team members coming on board. The blind are being led on by the person that's in front of them. Those that are in wheelchairs, they're being led on in aisle chairs. Those that have cerebral palsy who can ambulate, they're using the backs of the chairs to get their seats. And then I see Tree. Tree's on a wheelchair basketball team. Tree's a double-leg amputee, both legs missing below his knees. Tree stands 6 feet, 8 inches tall. But I get it, Tree can be a tree at 6'8" or a stump at 4'3", depending upon which legs he picks out of his closet. He ducks underneath the exit sign. He stops at seat 7C, sits down, pops his artificial legs off, hands them to the flight attendant, who places those legs up in the overhead bin. But I got it. Benefit number 2. What do y'all think? Legroom, absolutely. You got that way too fast. Smart to you. More legroom. The flight attendant goes back to Tree. Can I help with anything else, sir? Do you need more time or attention? Tree says, no, ma'am, I'm good. I'm good. Off she walks through the red curtains to bring all the tabbies on board. Tabbies, temporarily able-bodied individuals. Keep living. She goes off to bring the tabbies on board. Tree now being 4'3", he jumps up into his seat, takes his long basketball arms, hoists himself up to the overhead bin, climbs in, lays prone next to his legs, closes the bin door. I catch eyes with Amy, my swim teammate, and he puts her head down, turns beet red, twiddles her thumbs like they have done this 1,000 times before. I'm on the edge of my seat. Who's going to sit in that 7th row? People are going to the back of the plane. The tabbies are filing out over the wings. And then we have our winner, Mr. Armani suit. Still pulling that Louis Vuitton bag, still talking on the cell phone, stops in the 7th row, realizes that the attaché is not going to fit under the seat back pocket in front of him. So he must go to the overhead bin where our friend Tree has been lying prone for the last 5 minutes. And when he goes to lift that latch, don't get ahead of me yet. He goes to boom, out Tree pops. Armani, just like you, did a Carl Lewis long jump from the 7th row all the way back to the 17th row, slips on those gaiters. I catch eyes back with Amy. Amy says, oh, that's pretty good, John. Last guy only made to row number 10. That's a new world record. As Armani gets all this stuff, he goes back up to the 7th row. Tree has his hand on his chin, little nub leg things across. He says, I'm sorry, sir, but this overhead bin space has been filled. I am dying laughing in 17F. I have never seen anything like this ever in my life. And that is when I realized how I was showing up just 15 minutes earlier. When I wanted to be on the Olympic team and not this Paralympic team. It looked like I was going to have a lot more fun on the Paralympic team than I was going to have on the Olympic team. And that was teaching me my third and most valuable lesson. That Tree was showing up as his full, authentic self, despite how I was showing up for him. And as I thought about that and how I maneuver with oxygen out of my environment, it really wasn't about whether somebody wanted to wear a mask or not during the pandemic, or if somebody wanted a vaccination or not. The real issue in leadership for me was, if someone came to me, John Register, with the opposing idea, did I add oxygen into their environment? Or did I take it away? Am I the one that created an atmosphere for people to thrive? Or did I create a panic? And so when Stebbins talking about pouring into a cup, are we willing to be poured into? Are we the ones that are able to take our knowledge, our skills, our abilities, every single thing that we're giving our life to empower others, to ensure that they are coming along with our dreams, our goals, our visions that we have for either a sustainable world, whatever it is, the widget that we're trying to put together because we believe so passionately in it, we have to be willing to be poured into in order to understand and see. And that's why we need everyone in this room to move it forward. Mindsight is the oxygen needed for the atmosphere to thrive in our environment. So the question is at your tables for 30 seconds, just for 30 seconds, what is your mindsight right now? Just go. 30 seconds, 1, 2, 3, talk about your mindsight. What is it right now? What? 30 seconds. It's your mindsight. $15 seconds. $10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pens down. Who heard something amazing that was just so brilliant? Like, oh my gosh, that is a vision that I want to be. Yes, sir, let's go. Let's get a microphone so we can get you on camera. And for those that might be listening in, we get a microphone, Ron?
My friend David Riley says he just wants to live in a warm climate.
Move to Alaska. I always say that, yeah. Yes, go, Lynn, yeah.
Carolyn said the most beautiful thing. She said the most beautiful thing. She said, this conference has been everything I need, and I feel like I crawled on my hands and knees through a burning desert to get here.
Wow. Beautiful. One more.
Peter, I saw your hand.
I saw it too, so that's two people.
Supporting my chin, but all good. Elaine approaches everything with expansion, every moment.
Yeah, so good. When we talk about this, and thank you all for sharing that, when working with amazing individuals, most individuals, CEOs, or even doesn't have to be the CEO of the company, has such a strong vision that it moves people with them. Not just in the essence of who they are, but how they are showing up in such a way that it's an invitation for everyone to move. Instead of, like we heard earlier, any type of resistance, because we do breed the seed that comes, we will reap a harvest of what we plant. It's just a law that is here. Any farmers that are here? I know there's at least one farmer that's in the room. Yes, urban farming. Whatever we plant, we get. And so if we see the sort of sow a seed of discord, we're going to get discord. Positivity will get positivity. So you can always look at who the individuals are in your hiring practices or other people you hang around by what follows after them. All the time, you can see it. So we have to do an experiment. How many think that in moving a mindset to a mind sight, there must be some change in the process? We have to think a little different. How many think that you're fantastic with change? Amazing with change? Yes, one there. Hands up. Okay, great. How many think, yeah, I'm decent, I'm pretty good, yeah. And how many say, yeah, no frickin' way, I just hate it. It's like, I just don't like it at all. Okay, not too many. I didn't think so in this room. I invite you to please stand up. Find a partner. Find a partner. Partner means two. Face your partner. If you're comfortable, take one more step closer to your partner. Take a step closer to your partner. Take a step closer. I love this. Nowhere in my instructions did I say, look at me. Please look at your partner. If you're comfortable, I invite you to take your partner all in. So whatever that means, you can look them up and down. Just observe them, everything about them. Look at them. We have a two-part command in the military. It's called about face. When I call about face, you will go 180 degrees in the opposite direction. 3, 2, 1, about face. Very good. You should be now back to back with your partner. I invite you now to change one thing about your appearance without your partner knowing. Change one thing about your appearance. Without your partner knowing, please change one thing about your appearance. Without your partner knowing, change one thing about your appearance. When you've changed that one thing, give your partner a tap, turn back around, guess the one thing that was changed. When you have guessed the one thing, you may take your seat. When you have guessed the one thing, you may take your seat. When you have guessed the one thing, you may take your seat. When you have guessed that one thing, you may take your seat. Another two-part command we have in the military, take seats. All right, let's debrief this. first thing I invited you to do is what? Get a partner, step closer, study. First thing I invited you to do is what? Get up, stand up, absolutely, thank you very much. How many said, oh my gosh, another freaking speaker is gonna ask me to get out of my comfort zone, dude, this is my coffee settle. Thank you very much, Don, I appreciate that, yeah, very good. Why do we resist standing up? Requires effort to stand up that we have done at least 20 times today. Yes, it does require effort, yes. What I'm gonna ask for next, yes, I'm very uncertain. Oh, freaking out, yes, and stand up. What else? Say again? I told you to do it, and doggone it, if he tells me to do it, I am definitely not doing it. Yes, what else? I might be seen, yes, somebody might see me in this. We resist for all those reasons, and it comes to the head that our synapses have locked in, about 24, 25 for men, about 22 for women, as we grow. And because we're locked in with our synapses, we are stagnant. We don't want to move because of the uncertainty that happens in the change. But here's what is relevant for executives, right? It's that when we are about to push our amazing idea to save the world, who's coming with us? People resist it. This is strange. I'm not sure I like this. I'm not sure how I move this. So we have to begin a sequence, a process, a system that begins to articulate how we want to move those individuals along this pathway. Next thing I invited you to do was what? Yeah, stand up, pick a partner, yes, and then what? Look them up and down. We're getting there. I know you want to get there. So, Jen, I know you want to get there. Yes, yes. Next was? Before step closer. Before step closer. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Yeah. I said, don't look at me. I said, don't knock, but that was later. The second thing I said was? Step look, observe. Face your partner. Then take a step closer. And then observe them with what type of intent? Take them all in? I said intent. What type of intent did I say? Significant intent. You're talking, all right, because you didn't hear it. You're not good listeners, but maybe I wasn't a good communicator, right? So maybe I was not clear with the instructions in order to get us to that proper sequence of stand up, face each other, take a step closer, observe each other up and down with significant intent. How many have ever been in a meeting with your CEOs or your board of directors and your board chair? You say, ready, break, and you go out, and you say, what the heck did we just talk about? We all done it. If we're not crystal clear in our systems, our sequences, and our processes, and communicate them to the significance of it, we're destined to fail. Because if we don't know it ourselves, how are we going to get it to a group of individuals that are even resisting standing up? So you're doing about face, you change one thing about your appearance. How many of you took something off? Raise them high. Look around. Look them out. How many put something on? One? Okay. What this signifies in this exercise alone is that in change, I'm always thinking about what I'm going to lose in the change. And then I see somebody else losing that thing. I said, oh my gosh, that's a great thing to lose too. I'm going to jump in on that bandwagon. So when we're looking at our teams or our employees, know that they're resisting standing up. We're not giving them clear instructions. And when we do say something's going to change, they think they're losing something. Who we need to be looking for are those individuals who are putting something on, because those are the ones who see the opportunity despite the obstacle. It didn't come from anywhere. As Linda was saying with our body language, we can look and we can see who's putting things on, and we need to have those individuals out front because they're our cheerleaders, they're our bandwagon. They're the ones that are going to push the idea forward. And then you sat back down. How many put yourselves right back together? So we've been doing this activity for like 6 minutes, and nothing's changed. So we come to this amazing conference that real leaders, and even ourselves as leaders, resist changing. How many sat down in your own same seat? Right. If we're going to change something, then we must be the first ones to do the change. And even don't overanalyze it. It's just a simple activity to understand how hard, how difficult change is. People will come up and say, that's changes, just do this and do that. It is very difficult to change our mindset to a mindsight in order to have the impact that we want to have. So we have to do that groundbreaking work, and we're going to talk about some of that. I'm going to give you a system, a process by which to do that. But first, we're going to go out and we're going to ask a question. Go to Menti right here. Go get that QR code. And we'll go out there. When you get there, tell me what question do you see? What question do you see on the screen, on your screen? So what did you have to amputate in order to elevate yourself, your success? What did you have to amputate? So just fill that out. Just create that. And then, Zach, we can go out to push the slide to see if we change out to Menti. Is that good? We get it up there? Okay, all right, perfect. So we'll let you see what some of your colleagues wrote in on the Menti. So what did you have to amputate in order to elevate to your success? What do you have to release? What do you have to let go? What do you have to get rid of? Mindset to the mindsight, right? So, all right, my ego. Limiting beliefs, ego, a lot of ego up there. Fear, we're going to talk a little about fear, limiting beliefs. I had to conform, wow. Let go of my limiting belief, all these limiting beliefs, people's expectations. Amazing. So you see that. There is a process that I had to understand of how to amputate in order to elevate. I want to share a story with you, and I'm going to invite you to ask me a question afterwards. And the question is, what is it that you believe I overcame? What is it that you believe I overcame? I was sitting, you'll find all my stories happen in airports. I was sitting in the San Francisco International Airport. I'm reading a USA Today newspaper. I'm wearing shorts, get up there, which has exposed my artificial leg. Two boys, about 5 years old and 7 years old, they're talking to their mother, their matriarch, and these two boys, they've made a new discovery. Mommy, look at that guy's leg. See that guy's leg? There goes Robot Man. I chuckled, but I went back to reading my USA Today newspaper. Then something else happened. There began to be this outer speak conversation that probably should have remained inner speak conversation from everyone else in the gate waiting area talking about the two boys, 5 and 7, who just discovered Robot Man. Impolite to stare, shut them up, get them out of here, bad mom. I say, wow, that's interesting. But I went back to reading my USA Today newspaper. Out of the corner of my eye, I see the woman. She gets up. She starts walking over my direction. I think she's going to do like the old song says and just walk on by. But no, she stops. She leans in. Excuse me, sir, my children, they're absolutely fascinated by your artificial leg. It looks like you've overcome so much adversity. I mean, you're such an inspiration. Would you please tell them what happened? No one has ever come up to me in such a public setting asking me what's going on with my artificial leg. And in that space between her question and my response, I began to think about it. Why does she think I've overcome so much adversity? Maybe I was congenital and just born this way. Why does she think I'm such an inspiration? I could be an axe murderer. I'm not. Yet. Why was everybody else that had that outer speak conversation that probably should remain inner speak conversation, why were they now leaning in? And in that space between a question and my response, I found my answer. I did not overcome the adversity. 6.5 years earlier, I'm on May 24th, 1994. I'm lying in a hospital bed in Wichita, Kansas at the Wesley Medical Center. My wife, Alice, is holding on to my left hand. My parents, Don and Dolores, register on the opposite side of the bed. My son, John Jr., playing with a little toy train at the foot of the bed. He's 5 years old now. Dr. Randy Mullins, he comes in the room. He has a white lab coat on, a stethoscope around his neck, clipboard in his hand. Says, Mr. Register, you have a tough choice to make. You can either keep your leg and use a walker or a wheelchair for the rest of your life, or I can amputate your leg. You can use a prosthesis for the rest of your life. What kind of choice is that? 7 days earlier, I'm on top of the world. I'm on the Army's world-class athlete program, track and field team. USA Track and Field News has picked me as the one to watch for the 400-meter hurdles to make the 1996 Olympic team. 400-meter hurdles is one time around the track over 10 obstacles spaced 35 meters apart. There's a 40-meter run into the first hurdle. There's a 45-meter run off the last hurdle for the distance. I'm approaching every one of these hurdles at the speed of 8.7 meters per second, which equates to what? Yeah, fast is the right answer because that's definitely John Register math. It's about 19 and a half miles an hour. I'm ambidextrous. I can take the hurdle with either leg. It doesn't really matter. But because I just ran my first sub-50-second hurdle race, had a call with the legend, Edwin Moses. He said, you're on the same trajectory as me. I led with my right leg going down the backstretch, and I wanted to repeat that pattern. But I had a second career, too. I was Army combat veteran, on my way to officer candidate school. Loved the military, wanted to be 20-year lifer in it because I saw a pathway for myself. I was already on the pathway. Boarded by a group of officers, I'm heading down to Fort Benning School for girls and boys. But the wind's blowing hard in haze, and I'm having trouble with my steps. The right leg comes up over the hurdle, the left leg comes up, then the left leg comes up and the right leg comes up. Sometimes in hurdles, as in life, we just want things to stay the same. So I get in the blocks, I do my one last pass. I get to the first hurdle, right leg is on, bam. Second hurdle, right leg is on again, bam. Third hurdle comes into view, I feel the Kansas wind push against me, but I push back hard against that Kansas wind. I realize, I'm gonna be short, I'll have to take that hurdle with my left leg. So I launch myself off the right leg, cross the hurdle with my left leg, I land and I hear, my body sails and twists in the air and I see my left shin pass in front of my face. My shoulders hit the ground, I bounce to a halt. I do a quick once over my body, okay, my shoulder's okay, waist is okay. When I saw my knee, my patella had risen 3 inches up my femur bone. My left leg was now over, canted across my right, with my foot touching the black surface of that track and haze that day. The only thing I could think about in that moment was just get up. Just get yourself up. Get up, John. Get up, John. Get up. Push yourself up. You got this. Come on, you get up. Get up. Oh, God. 90 minutes later, the ambulance comes. Puts me in the back, whisks me off to Hayes Medical Center where another doctor in a white lab coat said, Mr. Register, looks like you got a bit of a problem. I'm gonna have to fix that. So he bore down on that crooked leg. We're gonna do this on 3. 1, my leg ballooned up, I passed out. I don't remember too much what happened next. I don't remember the life flight from Hays, Kansas to Wichita. I don't remember the 11-hour vein graft operation to reconstruct an artery that had been blocked and severed because of the dislocation. All I remember is my wife holding onto my left hand. My parents, Don and Dolores, on the opposite side of the bed. John Jr. playing the little toy train. Dr. Mullins saying, you got a tough choice to make. It was the pain that spoke first because my male deductive reasoning said, if I just get rid of my leg, I can get rid of my pain. And I looked back at Dr. Mullins and I said, I know it has to be amputated. And he immediately went into work. And 2 nights later, I wake up at 11 o'clock at night and I'm in more pain than my male deductive reasoning had reasoned. And I just wanted something to knock it out. There's a morphine drip button over on my right ear left. I was too weak to roll over to press that button. But I could see the nurses station outside my door. I just call out to them, but the tubes that were down my throat made the sound too inaudible to get their attention. So there I lay in that bed for the next 8 hours with my dangerous thoughts. Who am I now? is my wife going to stick around? Is my son still going to see me as his father? Do I still have a job in the military? Can I support my family? My Olympic dreams, they're over. At 8 o'clock, Dr. Mullins, he comes back in the room, sees I've done a 180-degree shift. Immediately calls my wife, Alice, who's at the local hotel trying to manage herself, me, John Jr. She was told by the nursing staff that I would sleep through the night. She's been there all the time. She's dog-tired. And she gets a call at 7 o'clock that morning because we were geographically separated. I was stationed in Germany without command sponsorship to bring my family with me. She gets a call from the job she's working in West Memphis, Arkansas, to fire her for being gone too long taking care of me. Thank you for your service, ma'am. And this saint of a woman comes running over, gets me out of bed, puts me in a wheelchair, wheels me out to an inaccessible playground where I'm sitting there parked, forced to watch my wife and my son play on the swings. And I couldn't push myself out of that chair. It was the first time I felt disabled. I lost it, started crying uncontrollably, heaving. I just couldn't catch a breath. And Alice on the swing set, she comes running over and said, what is happening? What's going on? And as she wraps her arms around me, I begin to articulate to her everything that was in my head the night before. And that's when she said the words that stopped my downward spiral. Yeah, you know what, John? We're going to get through this together. It's just our new normal. It's just our new normal. And when she spoke those words, she baselined my entire existence, undergirded me with that love. And as I'm wiping the tears away from my eyes, I see John Jr. He jumps off the swings, hits the ground, comes running over. Hey, Mom, Dad, you see my big jump? Mom, Dad, you see my big jump? And he jumps in between myself and Alice, and I realize in that moment, he has just validated me as his father. He's created his new normal. And that's exactly somehow what I had to do. I had to figure out a way to create this new normal. So in that space, between her question and my response, I found my answer. I said, ma'am, I don't think I've overcome what you think I overcame. Because had I overcome the amputation of my left leg, I'd have my leg back. She said, oh my gosh, wow, that's right. I understand. I got that. And then her little kid said, so mister, what happened next? I said, I'm so glad you asked. I said, I started swimming for physical therapy. I got so fast in the water, I somehow fluked up, messed up, and made the Paralympic swim team. I went to Atlanta, Georgia. I saw this dude's leg fly off in mid-flight. I got inspired. Because if I have a leg made for running and keep my leg on, I can certainly beat this dude who can't seem to keep his on. Then I went to Sydney, Australia, and finished up after 6 jumps, number 2 in the world, and earned the silver medal in that long jump. And I wound up having that in my pocket. She said, well, today's October 30th. I said, right. That was on October 21st, 7 days ago. And with that silver medal, I hung it around that little boy's neck. Kevin, would you be that little boy today? Come on up. Yeah. Absolutely. Turn around, brother. Yeah, right. And then he put around his brother's neck, so you can go share with all your brothers and sisters out there. And then the brother gave it back to me to put back in my pocket, so last person back to me in my pocket. Okay. And the most amazing thing happened. The woman thanked me for my time. She asked me for an autograph for her children, and off she walked back to their seats. And I said, what the heck was that? She had shifted the entire room from get them out of here, bad mom, impolite to stare, to how cool is that? Did you hear that story? Those children's lives will never be the same. She shifted me. How many times have I been oblivious with my cup full, unavailable for somebody to pour into me as she just did? I wanted to always be open for that. How do we continue to open ourselves up for that dialogue that expands the answers that we have yet to learn? If you're familiar with the Johari window model, there's a quadrant. I won't go the whole model. The last quadrant is the unknown. I think that's where brilliance happens because I'm open to learn. I'm open for the dialogue of what you need to discover about me and what I need to discover about you. So let's put some thought to this. Let's go back to the presentation. I asked you one question. What do you think it was if I didn't overcome the amputation? What do you think I overcame? What do you think it is? Mindset, for sure. We said some fear up there. People said fear earlier. But let me understand some understanding around the fear. The fear was not me saying, for example, Alice was going to leave me. That was not my fear. My fear was, am I still desirable? Do I still have what it takes when the shift in the market is going on? When people are looking at me for the leadership that I have to have, what happens when I close the door? They're all looking at me. Do I really have what it takes? Do I really know what it means to lead this organization on this big change that we say that we're going to do on our value and mission and vision statements? Do I really know what I'm doing? We have these fears, and they're internal. The answer is yes, you do. You have it. It's in you. It's there. We just have to have the courage and the commitment to make it so. The courage and the commitment to make it so. And that's where we're going to go through this little resilience action model, which I've been working on for at least 5 years now. In the resilience action model, we have 3 areas of focus. The first is the reckoning. The reckoning moment is realized when we understand that we do not get back what we desire to have back after some type of trauma has impacted our life. Most of the time, it'll come out in language like this: I just wish things would get back to normal. Can we go back to the way it used to be? Oh my gosh, before this happened, it was just great. It never has, it never does, it never will. So until we get that mindset shifted from the mindset to the mindset, we now hurdle that reckoning moment. It's a break to the routine, and then we have to acknowledge that it never goes back to the way it used to be. Once I'm there, I'm now into the revision. In the revision hurdle, we have to commit to the new vision. We must commit. This is very difficult. We think it's easy. We think we write down the vision statement, the mission statement, and values, and then we just move forward. No, we have to bring other people on board that buy into that vision, and that's hard because we have at least 3 opposing forces. The first one are other people who are believing for us what we can or cannot do, which is based on what they believe they could or could not do if they were in our situation. Secondarily, we have society. Society begins to dictate to us the limitations that it wants to apply to what we want to do. And then third, I'm the one that has to commit. I've had the world's best hurdle coaches. None of them ever ran a hurdle for me. I'm the one that has to be responsible for that. I cannot shirk the responsibility and put it on somebody else. So we have to look for our parallel paths. I no longer could be an Olympic athlete. Let me become a Paralympic athlete. I can't be a military officer, so let me build a program that now Prince Harry runs in Invictus Games. So we look for the parallel paths, and then we begin by making that commitment. And let me be clear on what a commitment is. Once you make a commitment, you cannot go back to the way it used to be. It is gone forever. It's gone, right? So the third one then becomes the renewal hurdle. Renewal begins with a rebirth. Rebirth is exceptionally hard because now you're no longer the expert. Think about, Don, who was the one that just won the Australian Open, woman? I'm trying to think of who was it? Madison Keys. Madison Keys took herself out of the game to work on her serve. One thing that she wanted to do better. So she took herself out of being the expert in order to work on something that was going to give her dominance at the Australian Open for at least 5 months to work on one thing to make her better. How many times do we as executives and CEOs take ourselves out to work on something to get ourselves better? Or just head down all the time, we got to do this. Do we give ourselves space to breathe, to get breath into us to move that organization forward. That's why the cup can't be half empty or half full, and we have to pour into the cup. Think of that cup as a sieve, right? So when I'm pouring into that cup, I'm pouring out the other side. So it's a never-ending cycle of water that's coming in and going out. So the cup is never half empty or half full because we're always pouring it. And if I can pour it, then I can direct the flow of the pour. But if I block it, I just make a mess. In my own life, we just saw the Atlantic report. People are in isolation. They're lonely because we've created an environment where people are panicked. They're panicked. And we have ourselves to blame for it because we're the leaders. And we haven't taken that time for ourselves to breathe. So we're putting together, even in my squad, the people that are following on our communities, is we're taking folks on a 7-day cruise. That we're going to just, all we're doing is work for a half a day on a Ritz-Carlton cruise in the Mediterranean, and we're just going to workshop the business. So you have time to breathe. No cell phones allowed. So you have time to breathe. That's what we're focused on. All right, so we have on this one, we allow space and grace to grow. Why this? Because we have to allow ourselves. I just didn't, when I became an amputee, I didn't know how to be an amputee. There have been thousands of amputees before me. It was just new to me. I had to learn how to walk on an artificial leg, walk between the parallel bars, walk on a 4-bar walker, crutches to cane to free walking and running to jumping to a Paralympic medal. That process took 7 years. But we want it right now. We want the change instant. And we don't give ourselves the space and grace to grow. And then once we celebrate the reward, here's the interesting thing about rewards. I share the silver medal, but I'm not there 25 years ago when I won it. I need to be looking for the next reckoning moment. As an executive, I have to look for the next reckoning. I should never be comfortable. If I'm comfortable, something's wrong. I'm coasting. If I'm coasting, that means I'm going downhill. I need to be pressing all the time. So we have it real quick. We'll just get it for you. The reckoning, the revision, and the renewal. So on the QR, go back out to Mentimeter and give yourself an opportunity to look at that. And when you look at the model, where do you see yourself? Right now, in this moment in time, this flash moment in time, not where you see yourself in the mind sight of where you desire to be, but right now in the mindset, where are you? Let's take a pulse of the room. Where are you right now? Where are you? Where are you right now? Are you in the reckoning? Are you in the revision? Or are you in the renewal? Look at that, 45 in the revision. When I say revision, remember we called it, we're about to make the commitment. We're about to attack that hurdle. Over here, we've attacked the hurdle. Now we have to give ourselves space and grace to grow because we don't have all the answers. And 15% in the reckoning. It's okay to be in any one of these categories because when we're in the renewal, what's the next iteration of the renewal? Remember what I said? The next reckoning. We're looking for the next reckoning. We never arrive. We never arrive. You can't. You're the CEO. You can't. We're always looking for the next thing to inspire the team to stand up, to give them the sequence and the process and to move the organization forward, to look for the individuals who are putting things on instead of taking things away. We're always looking for that next reckoning. Let's go back to point presentation. Thank you.
Let's take a look
so
at
who wants to see the? I'm going to show it to you anyway. The jump, because you already saw it, right? There we go. So here's a long jump in Sydney, Australia. These are the last 3 competitors. We have Gorianson, Lucas Christen, and myself.
He holds both the world and Paralympic record in this event. Victor Gorianson from Sweden is up now, ready for his 3rd attempt. It's not a bad effort. He's pretty satisfied with it. 4.89. It's actually a season best for the Swede. Here's the man to beat. He is the world record holder, jumping 5.43 in 98 in Birmingham. Well, he's pleased the crowd. He's happy with that one. And so he should be. He's smashed his world mark with 5.57, a new world mark. Well, the pressure's really on now for John Register from the USA. 5.57, the mark to beat. Nice lead up, but it's short. He's not able to take the gold from Kristen, but he does move into second spot. So here are the results of the men's long jump final. Gold to Kristen, silver to Register, and Gorianson home with the bronze.
I don't like her voice, but anyway. She's just like, oh, whatever, he didn't make it. Every time I see that video, I think I'm going to win the gold medal anyway. So, it's just not. Reporter asked me, she covered me when I was running for the Southwest Conference and I was running into Michael Johnson, I was jumping against Carl Lewis. Asked me the question, with artificial limb technology, John, do you think you can do the same thing? And I said, no. But maybe your question should be, if God forbid Carl Lewis or Michael Johnson lost a leg, could they run as fast or jump as far as I do? And so we don't have to become an amputee to learn the lesson, in other words, right? What we can do is begin to see how can people attune with our voice, with what we are putting out as a frequency, and elevate themselves, because we're the ones that's causing that change. So we have a quick little QR code right there. If you're going to scan that one, we're going to do two things. One, if you get this QR code, you're going to get this entire presentation that I did in a different way. So most people say they want to hear it, they want to see this again, because there are lots of lessons that can come out from it. So you get an entire keynote. That'll be there if you do the Elevate Life. I'm going to play you some music. We're going to come back in 2 minutes. I'm going to ask you some questions that will open up for Q&A. Do we have time for that, Kevin? I'm just looking. Okay, so 5 minutes. Okay, all right, thank you. So this we'll do this at 90 seconds. Anything that's, I asked some folks to give me some feedback on the side. Yes, sir.
Answer this, but how did you find the joy during the process? Because it's always easy to find joy in the the accomplishment, the achievement. But at your deepest, darkest moments, when you didn't know you could wake up early to train again, when you felt like you weren't making the strides you needed to make during your revision, I don't know. Well, how do I'm gonna give you the highest level. Do you need to keep the joy? Absolutely.
I'm going to give you the highest level answer, and I'm going to go back to something that Stedman said, and I frame it with inside of Black Panther. So that there are questions. There's a question that comes in Black Panther, right? It's the first question that comes out. You remember what it is? Who are you? It's the first question they ask. You know what the last question in Black Panther is? Who are you? So that's the bookends of that whole entire movie. And for me, I wanted, at the end of my life, my God to say, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. I want to make you rule over much, right? But so how do I do that? I have to begin to do the essence of who my Creator is, and God. And if my Creator is breathing life into me, the way I show His move in me is to breathe life into others. So I have to be that vessel that does that. So that's kind of 30,000 foot level. I have a destination. I know exactly who I am. And so then now there are the hard days. And so we have these origin stories that usually come in that rebirth, because it's very difficult in the rebirth. It doesn't negate any of that. We can have whatever we want to believe, but it's freaking hard. And so I'm going to give you an example of what that was, that one very specific thing. I was in the worst pain of my life. My phantom pain was jumping off the charts. It was one of those things where I couldn't sit down, I couldn't stand up. And it was on 1 month after May 17th, 1994, which was June 17th, 1994. Does anybody know what happened on June 17th, 1994, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, when I'm sitting there in the most pain of my life? There was a white Bronco going down the I-405 freeway. And we didn't know what's happening. All we knew was these reporters were reading a suicide note, right? Over and over again on the channels. And I, at that moment, said, I can't believe this man who has been a Heisman Trophy winner, jumping over luggage in the airport, on movies, everything, and he wants to check out. And I said, I don't care. I know this pain is going to get worse before it gets better. I'm never checking out. And that was that origin of the mindset, because I knew that there was something greater. I had no clue what it was going to be, and I knew it was going to be worse before it got better. So the challenge then for all of us in the room is when it gets dark, when it gets hard, when it is really, and you're in the thick of it, you got to keep going. There are way too many people that need your voice. Too many people need your voice, and we can't check out. We can't check out because we have a specific purpose, like our DNA, like our hairprint, whatever it is. Only we can accomplish that in the world, period. We can't give it to somebody else. That's our mission. It's our job to do. Yeah, so thanks for that question. Awesome, yeah.
John, I think we got time for just one more question.
I'll let Kevin pick it.
And then we'll head to lunch.
John, very cool to get to meet you over the last few days and then hear the story up here. It's very, very special. So I appreciate you sharing. I'm curious, between, Stedman's talk about really knowing who you are, obviously you went through this big life transition where you had this identity and then you had to transition into the next version of that. I'm wondering if there was a moment or a belief that had to change or break in order for you to stand in your power like you can today, from who you were to who you've become today. Was there a moment or a belief or a transition point for you, whether that was a physical moment or a mental moment, that really helped you transition into the person that you are today?
Thank you. There were several. I will only share one, and that was around disability. Because people had, whether I listened to it or not, it was a part of my psyche. So if I look at, even at 6 years old, Captain Hook's an above the wrist amputee. So I have all these negative images about people with disabilities in my head. So we have movies that come out like The Joker or Hannibal Lecter and all these people with mental disabilities, right? And so that was in my head. And so now, I am one. Do people see me as to be feared? People are so afraid of me right now and my disability power that they're cutting out programs from the entire federal government. That's how afraid they are of me. They're afraid of my skin color so much, they don't want to even think about DEI. That's how feared I am. We shift the way that we think about it, right? So I had to move that process from, you're cutting that program out because you're afraid of what I can do. You're afraid of my power. Little old me. How about that? Right? So we think about that in those exact terms. If you want to get on with us, so thank you for that. If you want to get on with us on our commit, our amputate, this is a free gift for all y'all. We worked on this the other night, the team and I, and so you have a whole process that you can just do. It's just a gift, nothing with it. It's a sequence that you can take home with you right now, and you can begin to work through a process on this commit, amputate, and elevate. So we just made that out for you all yesterday, so just for this event only. And then some quick little insights. This woman depicts the two children and her kids. She's a heroine to me because she took a risk when no one else would against the naysayers. She pushed against the press to give an opportunity for her children. She changed the environment, and she changed my environment. I don't see this picture the same way. This is an injury picture. I probably should have warned you about it. I don't see my leg here. I see an entire support team around me when I can't support myself. Who's your support team when you can't support yourself? Even when you see my fist down here, I might be calm here, but my fist is in showing the total agony and the pain. Right? So where are they now? My wife and I, we just celebrated 36 years, so that's my honey bunny. Yep. That's Alice, my Alice. If you ever fly Southwest Airlines, you might see her. She's a flight attendant for Southwest Airlines. I love it because I get to go to Hawaii a lot. My son, John Jr., is coaching basketball in Canyon City, Colorado. So he is, we're going to do a training program with his group on Friday. Then my daughter, Ashley, she works for the Marriott Hotel, and so she's an event planner. She travels the globe doing that. She's the baby inside. John Jr.'s daughter, Ayana, And you can tell by that smile that Ayana gets whatever she wants from her papa. So we talked about a lot today about how to give you a process for resilience and a mindset around that, how to shift the mindset. We talked a little bit about amputate to elevate. However, the next time you go to board an aircraft and you reach for the overhead bin, just be careful, because you never know what life's overhead bin has in store for you. My name's John Register. Go forth, inspire your world.
Hey,
bye for now.
Hey, John, one question.